I have to talk about this guitar again. Stop! Don't leave a comment yet. You haven't even watched the video. What? You looked at the thumbnail and you watched the first 30 seconds and you think you know what I'm gonna say about this guitar? That's what some people did when I uploaded the last video about this guitar last month. And it was obvious because some of the comments were completely contradictory to something that I said later on in the video. So instead of assuming that you know what I'm gonna say about the guitar, you should watch the whole video first and then actually find out what I have to say. And this first part is really important. This video is about this guitar only. I am not reviewing your Harley Benton guitar. This is not the $400 model. I've never played any other Harley Benton guitar, so I can't make any judgment at all about any other Harley Benton guitars except for this one. If you say your Harley Benton guitar is great, I believe you. Why wouldn't I? But that's not what this video is about. This is about this guitar right here. First things first, this guitar cost me $109, $185 with the shipping. So very inexpensive, but yet I never said that it was junk or that it was a terrible guitar. And also, I never said that I was expecting a totally awesome guitar. Some people commented things like, well, what did you expect? You bought their cheapest guitar. I know what to expect. It's an entry-level guitar and it's priced accordingly. I've purchased and reviewed many entry-level beginner guitars around the same price point, so I know what to expect. So my expectations as far as this guitar were completely realistic. And let me just say that in most regards, this guitar exceeded my expectations. Yeah, the matte black finish is very nicely done. There are no flaws at all. The pickups sound way better than I thought they would. As for the rest of the hardware, it's bottom of the line, made in China stuff, but I knew it would be. So far so good. Some of the tuners are misaligned, so they're a little bit crooked, and the fret edges were really sharp, but for a sub $200 guitar, that's pretty normal and not unexpected. So no issues there, really. The action was a bit high, but that's pretty much always the case on a cheap guitar. So up to this point, everything on the guitar has pretty much met my expectation or exceeded it. So what's the problem then? Why don't you like the guitar? What's your problem with Harley Benton? Well, let me tell you. The problem begins when you read the company's description of this guitar on their website. If you want to go to the company's website and read it for yourself, there's a link in the description. You can check it out so you know I'm not making it up. Here's the part of the description that's the problem. Features a D profile best suited for guitarists with virtuoso ambitions. The ample cutaway opens up the high frets for playing at lightning fast speeds. Understatement? Only at first glance. Understatement? No. That's a completely false statement. This guitar does not have a D-shaped profile on the back of the neck. It is completely round. It is a chunky C shape. And this is not open for interpretation. Some of the people who watched the last video clearly don't know the difference between the two. I have a lot of guitars, some with a C shape and some with a D shape. So yes, I know the difference. A D-shaped profile should have a flat area on the very sort of middle of the back of the neck profile here. This has nothing flat. There's nothing flattened out. It's completely round. Okay, so right off the bat, the description of the neck profile is completely false. It's not a D, it's actually a chunky C. Now when they start throwing out terms like virtuoso and lightning fast? Well, there's an implication as to what this guitar is. And make no mistake, they are implying that this guitar is built for shred. And when you think of guitars that are built for lightning fast speeds, what guitars do you think of? A Gibson Les Paul? A Fender Telecaster? No, you think of Jackson, Ibanez, ESP, Charvel. And what do all those guitars have in common? Thin necks. Whether they are a C-shape or a D-shaped neck profile, they are thin. And they have jumbo frets. Not medium, not small, jumbo. And why do you think that companies like Jackson, Ibanez, ESP, Charvel, why do you think that pretty much most of their guitars, or maybe even all of their guitars, you could practically say, have thin neck profiles and jumbo frets? Why would those companies make those guitars? Because they want to make guitars that are going to appeal to most of their customer base. And they know that the people buying those guitars are interested in a certain kind of music, a certain kind of playing, which for the most part is the faster, more technical, heavy metal, hard rock, shred, whatever you want to call it. And again, most of the people that play that kind of music would prefer a thin neck and jumbo frets. If most people didn't, those companies wouldn't make the guitars that way, because they're interested in selling guitars. You understand what I'm saying? I hope that makes sense. So I'm trying to make the point that when companies are making guitars for people that want to play fast and shred lightning fast speeds, they're making guitars with thin necks and jumbo frets. Which brings me to the second issue with this guitar. The frets are tiny, low, flat, small. So, because of the thick, C-shaped, chunky neck and the tiny frets, this guitar is not ideal for lightning fast, technical shred style playing. And yet the company's own website says that it is. So does that mean that this guitar is junk? No, absolutely not. But it would be better for chugging rhythms rather than fast shred soloing. Can I shred on it? Yeah, but is it comfortable? Enjoyable? Does it feel better than my other guitars with the thin necks and the jumbo frets? No. And then some people also said, well, it's a beginner guitar. What did you expect? I expect them to describe it accurately and not give some poor guy who's just starting out a false sense of like, whoa, wow, if I get that guitar, I'm gonna be playing lightning fast like a virtuoso. If anything, the thicker neck and the tiny frets are gonna make it harder for a beginner to play. And that is not cool. And then there's the argument that because it's a cheap guitar, you're never gonna get a thin neck and jumbo frets. Not true at all. See this Vesely guitar that I reviewed just the other day? It has a thin C-shaped neck profile just like my Charvel DK24. Oh, and it only cost $119. The cost of the guitar has nothing to do with the neck profile. The necks are cut by a CNC machine, and it doesn't cost any more to program a thinner neck. This guitar is the proof of that, right here. And as for the frets, it doesn't cost any more to use bigger frets. I've bought $60 Glaries that had way bigger frets than this guitar. So that is also not a cost issue. Plus, Jackson, Ibanez, other companies, they have their bottom of the line guitars made in China, same place as this one, and those guitars come with jumbo frets, and they're cheap guitars just like this one. So the idea that it's got to have a thick neck and it's got to have little teeny tiny frets because it's a cheap guitar, that absolutely holds no water. Bottom line, guys, it's a pretty darn good entry-level beginner guitar that could be made even better if they would make the neck thinner and put the bigger frets on it like they should. And those are two things that would not increase the cost of the guitar at all. So why haven't they done this? I have no idea. But if they're not going to change the guitar, they should at least change the description on the website so that it's not false and misleading. Now, let me tell you why I will never buy another Harley Benton. After receiving this guitar and realizing that the description on the website was false, I emailed the company. I told them very nicely, very politely about the neck, about the frets, and about how the description on the website was not accurate. I recommended that they at least change the description on the website. And guess what they said? Nothing! They didn't even bother to reply. I'm a paying customer. I bought the guitar. I guess they just don't care. So I'm not going to give any more of my money to a company that, number one, isn't honest in the product description. And I don't believe for 1 second that they don't realize that that description is totally misleading. And number two, just totally ignores a customer after they buy a guitar and they say, hey, there's a problem here. And the fact that it's the bottom of the line, it's their cheap guitar. Is that supposed to make it okay that the description is false? Is that supposed to make it acceptable that they don't even answer my email? Well, because it's their cheapest guitar, so they don't need to care. Is that really? Is that okay? Does that make it okay? I don't think so. I mean, that's really poor customer service, in my opinion. It shouldn't matter if I bought something for $1 or $1,000. If you hear from one of your customers and they say there's a problem with this, you should answer them. But they didn't. Now remember, guys, this is my experience with this guitar. It has nothing to do with you and your Harley Benton guitar. So no one should feel like this is some kind of a personal attack on them, because it isn't. If you want to buy Harley Benton guitars and you're happy with it, then by all means, carry on. But for me personally, I'm done with this brand. And yes, I will be selling it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.